no matter how I feel, wearing the Vikes shirt and anything, or I represent Portland State.
Uh-huh.
And as a student, I feel like I could get kicked off the track team, cross country team, or I could be expelled if I gave an opinion that was unpopular or I gave an opinion that was popular. I'm scared to talk in general. And especially when it's a very provocative statement like that, it's not a very, safe space to go talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like I can have this kind of conversation where I stay impartial, but giving you any of my actual ideas or thoughts, whether they be right or wrong to Portland State, I can't do that. Like, I don't feel safe doing that. I want to be able to have conversations like that. It really sucks that I can't, because I'm coming here to expand my worldview, and I feel like I have already just by listening to what other people have to say. But I want to be able to share my own unique experiences to build on that. But I can't. I have like too much at stake in my own life to warrant that.
Yeah.
I have to very much toe the line in pretty much everything I do. Yeah.
Really?
I just want to have some general conversation, and being scared of just that is what's worrying me. It makes me a little upset that I can't have these conversations. Yeah.
All right. So what was your name again?
My name is Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
M-A-T-T?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. How's your day going, Matt?
Pretty good. I just finished some classes. Finished going to the pool. I'm stuck aqua jogging currently because of my foot. But yeah.
What happened?
I got a stress fracture. It's just a combination of dealing with school. I took 18 credits last term. And just a little overtraining. And finals week, I didn't get a lot of sleep, and then all just compounded in a stress fracture. Yeah.
So was it just from like running too much?
Yeah,
running too hard?
I'm mid-distance. I do like the 800 and the 15, but I was clocking like 65 miles a week, which isn't like a huge amount for like a competitive runner. But for me, that was a big step up going from high school. I'm a freshman currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here at PSU?
Yes.
Okay.
Hence all the PSU gear.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How do you like your experience here so far?
It's good. I feel like I grew up in Tigard, which is like 15 minutes south of here.
Yeah.
And it's a very white neighborhood. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I feel like being here, my worldview has expanded a lot. And like I'm an environmental science major, and I didn't even realize environmental justice was like a thing. And I thought like environmental acts where everyone was like given proportional access to everything. And what I'm learning is that it's not entirely true. And growing up in Tigard, I wasn't exposed to a lot of these ideas and a lot of different people. I mean, even on the cross country team, there's people from New Zealand, from Europe, and one guy from Canada I would have never even met if I wasn't here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you say that you kind of wanted to talk about what happened here a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it was about a week ago. There was this, and I forget his name, but this ex-Portland State professor who I believe left Portland State because he believed he couldn't talk about issues without being shut down.
Couldn't speak freely?
Yes.
That kind of thing?
And the ironic thing is I saw his what should I call it? Like questioning, I guess, maybe like thought experiment is what he would like to phrase it as.
How did you see it?
I saw it as kind of a one-sided conversation where he obviously had like an idea that he came into the conversation with that he wanted to push, which you can see that. He had two videos that came out. One of them at the end, he actually agreed with I know that there's anything wrong with agreeing or disagreeing inherently with the question, but as somebody who is provoking the thought, he should be impartial. And he obviously wasn't impartial based off one of the two videos. He was significantly friendlier, more open, and even agreed with the belief of the first two male students who showed up. Yeah. So
where were you? Did you see it all go down, or just hear
I saw
about
it right at the end, and I was wondering what's happening here. And there was this group of students surrounding the guy, and he said, "Sorry, we're not doing any more videos." And I asked someone, "What's going on?" And the student said, this guy thinks there's only two genders."
Okay.
Like it was an inherently bad belief. And not this is my main point, is that kind of phraseology and emotion behind it made me feel scared to give any opinions I have, whether they were positive or negative, because no matter how I feel, wearing the Vikes shirt and anything, or I represent Portland State. And as a student, I feel like I could get kicked off the track team, cross country team, or I could be expelled if I gave an opinion that was unpopular or I gave an opinion that was popular. I'm scared to talk in general. And especially when it's a very provocative statement like that, it's not a very, safe space to go talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that so? How does that make you feel? Like when you say that you don't feel safe to talk about stuff?
It makes me feel like I don't really have a voice. And I mean, I'm stereotypically like a white male who obviously in terms of like societal standards, I'm the one that usually gets their voice heard the most. And that is an inherent flaw in our society and the majority of systems that go on. But I'm still a human, and I like having my voice heard. And as soon as I saw that guy was recording, and that one female student said, or I believed female just from appearances, said that, I was like, I got to keep walking. I just kept walking. I did not want to have that conversation because I don't want to get thrown out of Portland State. I don't want to have my academic scholarships taken away from me. I don't want to be associated with that type of image.
So, just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly,
yes,
there was a thought experiment going on here that you happened to see.
Yes,
and you didn't feel like you could engage with it because it could jeopardize your standing at why you're here at this university to begin with?
Yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of opinions now, not that I'm saying what he was saying was correct. Just any opinion I might have, if it's unpopular, I could be quote unquote canceled.
Yeah,
and I don't want that for myself. And I feel it's safer to stay quiet sometimes about any opinion I might have. And even saying this, I feel like some people are going to assume I'm some right-wing nut job. I'm very liberal. Like, that's one of the reasons I came to Portland State. But just having discourse in general is scary,
Yeah. Yeah. Like, does the fact that it happened at a university have any effect on how you see it as far as being safe to? Okay.
Oh yeah, I just finished working out at the gym that's right in the building right there, and I was wearing your Portland State hat because when I swim I have my hair in a bun and it gets wet after, so I don't like walking around with my hair all down. And I'm obviously a Portland State student. I'm recognizable. I'm like 6'2". I have long red hair, and so if somebody records me saying stuff like that while I'm wearing school clothing in the institution I attend, that's dangerous. Now, if it was on like the waterfront, for example, along the Columbia River, and I was just wearing street clothing, I wouldn't feel recognizable enough to be scared to have that conversation.
You would feel safer sharing your views, whatever those are.
Yes.
Not representing your school and being off campus.
Yes, because when I'm here, I feel like I represent Portland State, and if I go against an agenda that Portland State has, then I'm in jeopardy. Even like having this conversation, I'm not scared, but this could put me at risk, for example.
Yeah. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want to give any opinions that I have.
Okay.
And in terms of like political standing or anything.
Yeah.
I felt very cornered by the way that guy set up that discourse. And it didn't really feel like discourse. It felt very one-sided. I felt very one-sided from both sides because the question was obviously provocative, which led to a very upset response, understandably, from a lot of the students. In the video, you can see students flipping off the guy from I believe that's the 4th floor up there.
Yeah.
And that's not productive either to answer his question. But if he wanted to have honest discourse, I feel there was going, for example, to the waterfront and having people who aren't students talking about it might be more beneficial. I think he came to Portland State because he used to work here and he understands there's lots of students who disagree with the majority of his opinions and thought it would make a very interesting video to have some liberals really, really upset by what he said.
You mentioned maybe having it off campus. Are there anything else that you would recommend about how it could have gone better? He changed it mid-video, but just in general, he posed it as a statement. He said there are only 2 genders. Like the one channel, like where the guy sets up an idea and says, change my mind, and he has a little table and sits down. Yes.
That's exactly the argument I was making on live.
And it makes it more of a battle to be right versus having an open discourse. And if he wanted...
Even Crowder.
Yeah.
So this is Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
He's also a practitioner of street epistemology.
Yeah.
And he was actually here right after it happened.
Right after it happened.
So was I, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I walked by right as it was ending, and I was like, I don't want to get involved with this. I was confused what it was, because there was like 30 students, and I asked one of them, and they said, oh, this guy thinks there's only 2 genders, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm gone. Like,
so, Matt, from what I understand, he doesn't feel safe being able to explore his ideas here on campus or at PSU, especially with gear, PSU all over it.
Yeah, they give the athletes also clothing to wear, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to work out, I might as well wear the clothing I get for free.
He would feel more safe down at the waterfront and not discussing ideas. And I don't know, like, this is kind of your project here today. I was going to say, if you want to continue with the questions, if you have.
Oh, no. I mean, it sounds like you already kind of were covering, like, it doesn't need to be about me in particular. The only insight that I have is I just went on the tour with Peter across the country. And
Peter's the doctor that year.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're seeing street epistemology a little different, but I mean...
Because to me, when you do it on a university, and obviously doing it on a university is going to get a very good sample size of people with different opinions who are educated, and that makes sense from like having a good conversation versus like some random person off the street. You're more likely to run into an interesting conversation. But at the same time, while I'm here, I represent the university or college I'm attending, and every university has agendas and likes to appear in a certain way. For example, something happened on the parking garage up there, and Portland State sent out an email saying they stand in solidarity with the person that died. Apparently someone died there.
Oh.
And I haven't heard any more information about it, and it's all about keeping up your appearance as a university. And I feel like...
The custodian here said that somebody had actually committed suicide.
I think that is the case. I did not want to say that because I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I haven't heard. That's what I mean. Portland State will never go out and say that because that's like personal information. But that seems to be what is going around right now.
We're getting more from the custodian than you are getting from
Portland State because they won't communicate with us, and that's fine because I don't need to know what happened with that person.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's keeping up that kind of appearance. Right. And if I'm a student, I need to go in line with what Portland State wants, or else I'm fearful I'm going to be expelled or suspended or something's going to happen to me. And I don't know if that's true. That's just how I feel currently. Yeah. I don't know the exact power the university has, but I'm assuming it has quite a lot over me as a student. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about it?
No. I mean...
Do you feel like you've been able to...
articulate my ideas. I'm kind of a rambler.
Sure.
I had this interview.
Same here.
I had this interview when I was in high school after a race, and I was like, man, that interview went great. And I saw it in the paper and like Tiger Today, and I said like 7 times in like a paragraph, and I was like, God, what is wrong with me?
That's a big part of why I encourage people to record their conversations, because you'll notice things, and then you'll actually course correct for them if you listen to your own interviews enough.
Yeah.
What was the thing though that you said about feeling more safe at the waterfront? Like,
I just feel like
saying that it might be better. What were you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just feel because when you're off campus, but you're relatively near it, you're still going to run into the same students, just the same mindset that Peter, you said, was obviously looking to probe. But you're no longer representing Portland State. You're no longer representing the agenda that this community is trying to maintain. And so I feel a little safer to step outside of my comfort zone and actually have that discourse that's beneficial.
Oh, so I'm hearing you say that you feel pressure to toe a line. Is that right?
I feel pressured to just not even do anything. As soon as I heard them say like what the conversation was about, I bolted. I just kept walking.
Oh, yeah. And that's from like social pressure from other students. To not talk about certain things.
And you said you had a scholarship too, right?
I have an academic scholarship. Yes.
Okay. And you run cross country for the university.
Yes.
And that could jeopardize his. He feels like that could jeopardize his standing with the university if he comes out and shares views. Right?
Yes. No matter what those views may be, good or bad, it's
right.
Yeah.
Just engaging in it.
Yes.
What do you imagine the repercussions would be?
I don't know. I don't want to find out. That's the thing, is I don't know. There's no talking about this stuff.
Use your imagination. What do you think?
I feel like if I said, let's say for example, there are only 2 genders, and I firmly believed in that ideal, and it got 60,000 views like the previous videos did, because I watched them in their entirety. I feel I could be taken off the Portland State team because I represent Portland State, and if I'm wearing Portland State gear, we're told, don't jaywalk, don't curse while we're out on runs, because you represent the school.
Yeah.
And it's all of that stuff bleeds into keeping up the agendas and the saving face of Portland State.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like that stuff is very possible for me to happen, because I'm a walk-on. I'm not. I don't have some scholarship. I'm not. As much as it hurts to say, I'm not necessary for the team to score well at conference or regionals or whatever. So removing me wouldn't hurt Portland State that much as a whole from their athletic side. And I don't even
removed other students for their views?
No, but no one really talks about it.
Can you think of any examples of when somebody's been reprimanded for sharing their views?
No, I don't. I'm a freshman on the team right now. I haven't been asking these questions that much. It's more. It came up last week when Peter was talking about it, because I had never even really considered dangerous situations like that, and then it came up and it was like, I should probably shut my mouth. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe if the cross country team in Portland State came out with like a general guideline about what to do, because I feel very in the dark about a lot of things that happen here.
It makes me wonder what else students feel like they can or cannot say.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm wondering is this a problem?
It's more of like a. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, it was just more questions. It was a compound question. So go ahead and interrupt me.
I think it's more of a societal thing. The reason I feel the way I do is because of the cancel culture that was going on. I mean, again, not that what Peter the question was asking was a productive question, but he got shut down immediately by people who were yelling at him and flipping him off, and that from both sides isn't actual discourse. It's not reaching a goal, no matter what his goal was. I don't think there was much of a goal.
Do you think that there is a way to both do street epistemology in a genuine way without having the Steven Crowder kind of air about you that causes that kind of reaction that he caused?
See,
do you think there's a middle ground in between where you can actually broach these topics?
I think the problem that a lot of people go into these conversations with is not being impartial, and as difficult as that is, everyone is going to have some bias, something they want to get out of the conversation. And people need to see it as less of a battle to win in the conversation. Like, oh, there is only two genders. I've won the argument. Is that it's not an argument. It's just learning what other people's ideas are and if they contradict themselves or not. And then you don't have to have some middle ground. You just need to hear what people say or think, and then just move on if you disagree from them. And the problem with Peter was having is that he would hear what somebody would say and he would disagree. And it's okay to poke holes in somebody's argument, but when they poked holes in somebody's argument, just continuing to batter that idea. And it's like, not everybody's going to be willing to change their opinion on the spot. And continuing to batter in that point is just going to make it an argument. You're not trying to find some, I don't know.
You said that it might help that if you were clear on what the policy is with kind of sharing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what you said was there isn't really any clear guidelines.
Yeah.
I was curious if maybe you could share a couple of highlights of what that policy would be like. Like if you were to design the policy, and you don't have to give me a term paper, but
oh, I have enough of that. It's week 9 of the week 10 term,
Can you think of some bullet points that you would maybe include on that policy if you were given the job to write it?
Well, see, if I was given the job to write it, I would have to write it in a way to protect Portland State's agenda. Right. If it was me, I would want students to be able to talk about, basically not have their freedom of speech infringed on, and not have to worry about that. However, I don't know if that's what Portland State wants from students. I feel like this is an institution that wants to push an agenda of being very open to different ideas, and that's awesome. That's amazing. That's the point of a university. But by doing that, it discriminates other ideas of thought. And I guess I would just, as a student, I would want to know whether I can talk about these things in general or not. Because as much as it sucks, I care more about being an athlete and having my scholarship than I care about having conversations like this. No offense.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm taking.
And there's just very little about that.
It's a different priority for you.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's school, athletics, work, and then like the rest of my life. You know, like I have a dog, and I have a girlfriend, I have relationships I have to maintain, but it's really a matter of priorities in my life. And so, I feel from Portland State's perspective, to have open discourse like this, I would need some guidelines on what can I talk about, like can I talk about politics or anything that's like provocative to Portland State. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would be very hard to do because it would be very loose guidelines. You'd have to, like Supreme Court your way through it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking First Amendment stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I'm wondering, like, have we quantified our confidence yet on a scale? Like,
we haven't boiled anything down to a singular claim yet, mainly because Matt was saying that he doesn't really feel comfortable taking any sides right now. So we're just kind of talking about his experience of what happened last week and what he thinks might make.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what his confidence is on the claim that he can, or that there are restrictions on what you can say. Do you think that there are restrictions on what you can say? Like, and
don't worry, we're not the two gender people. It's fine. I'm sorry. See, that's what I mean. We get.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We love to hear what you have to say too.
I get looks like that just having this conversation. Is people assume I'm some right-wing nut job or give me looks, and it's like, no, I just feel afraid to talk in general, just from a societal standpoint, being a student, being an athlete. Not that look proved anything. I just felt like she was mildly disgusted at me for talking. That's an inference on my part. I mean, if I look around, I could maybe spot out a few people who are looking at me. I don't know. So my confidence level, like 10 being I'm extremely confident I could say anything I want, and 0 being I shouldn't even be here right now. What am I doing?
Exactly. Yeah, that was the question.
Yeah. I got sidetracked by that. That made me feel a little scared. I was like, oh god. One person recording me, and I'm out of here. So I'd say a solid 3 out of 10. It would be more like an 8 if I knew from Portland State what I could even talk about, because I feel like it's like some invisible line you accidentally cross, and then you don't know about it until you cross that line and you can't go back. And so I feel like once I take a step too far for Portland State to be comfortable with me, talking about my opinions, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if that's true or not. This is all just speculation on my part living in Portland, and just hearing the cancel culture kind of agenda. But that leads me to believe that 3 out of 10. It's like I can have this kind of conversation where I stay impartial, but giving you any of my actual ideas or thoughts, whether they be right or wrong to Portland State, I can't do that. Like, I don't feel safe doing that.
And having that kind of clear-cut guidelines would help raise your confidence in it?
Yes. Yeah, either having that or just being allowed to talk about these issues, not as a student, but as a person. And obviously, if I said I was gonna, or if I was like extremely racist and a bigot, and I was off campus, I don't think they should want me here regardless, but I just want to have some general conversation, and being scared of just that is what's worrying me. It makes me a little upset that I can't have these conversations. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Sorry if that was all like very wide and you wanted a very narrow, specific answer.
That's all right. It's a nuanced thing. It sounds like.
Yeah. I have to very much toe the line in pretty much everything I do. Yeah.
Really?
I feel like even in classes I have to keep my mouth shut sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you considered adopting some street epistemology practices for yourself?
Can you explain what those would be? I've never even thought about the topic.
Yeah, they're a way of engaging in conversation with people that you either agree with or disagree with, though you're not really saying anything. You're asking rather than saying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, maybe because it's a lot to go into, but we're developing a course, so hopefully soon we'll be able to show people in great detail what it is that we're doing. But essentially, we're just asking people for how they're thinking about what they're thinking instead of what only. We're going in deeper than that to like the reasons why they're saying what they're saying and how they determine what they determine.
I feel like that's a lot more of a useful question, because when you ask the what, you usually get very black or white answers. But when you think of the why, that's not as confrontational, and I feel like you can get a lot more genuine responses between that. Yeah, because yesterday, that was just or not yesterday, I keep saying it was yesterday. Like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Week ago, it was just a statement that was on a whiteboard, and that's already dividing people into two parties, whether you agree or disagree. But it's like, why do you feel this way? What makes you think this way? Like, was it like this idea nurtured? Was it like taught to you in classes? And getting that reasoning behind it, I feel like would eventually bleed into that what, like, what do you believe? And it would show whether their beliefs actually hold water or not, without, ruffling any feathers.
Yeah, usually we explore how the person, what's supporting the confidence that they have that what they're thinking is true.
Yes.
And instead of really, focusing too much on what the belief is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what street epistemology is. It's basically focusing on how somebody came to a belief and how they decided that the reasons that they're using and the methods that they're using to arrive at that belief are reliable.
Yeah. Are they reasons that someone can use to arrive at the opposite conclusion on the same topic?
Yeah.
If so, how did we use them for our side? Things like that. Also, things like, are they, like you said, are they reliable? In other words, can these reasons sometimes lead someone astray in a different belief about a different thing? And if so, why is it different applied to this thing? So it's more reason focused. And I think it's really important that we figure out how people are using certain words when they say certain things. And I feel like, and I mentioned this before in the breakdown video of Peter's interview, we have to be really careful to interpret the words that other people use by repeating back what we think that they're saying, what they mean by what they're saying. And if you adopt this, I feel like you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Without fear of retribution, because you're not staking a claim per se. You're asking about another person's idea, not your own.
Yeah. I feel like I want to be able to have conversations like that. It really sucks that I can't, because I'm coming here to expand my worldview. And I feel like I have already just by listening to what other people have to say, but I want to be able to share my own unique experiences to build on that. But I can't. I have too much at stake in my own life to warrant that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing all that.
Thank you so much.
It's good to hear your perspective. And,
thank you so much.
Good luck with the rest of your stay here.
Yeah, I should be back in about 2 months.
Hey, man.
Back and running.
Yeah. Indeed. Take care. Thanks so much. Yeah. It seems like that talk really damaged the community around here a little bit.